Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and those of you still on the fence figuring things out, welcome back to another episode of Derailed, courtesy of Arcaicskidz. I'm, of course, your host, Arcaicskidz, and we have with us Rusty. Not really Rusty. It's Luke Reinhold. He's the guy running Veterans Promise Kept PTSD Ride, which is a covered wagon trip across the country. How you doing, Luke? Why don't you tell people who you are and what you're about?
I'm doing great. Thank you much. My name's Luke Reinhold. I'm the coordinator for Veterans Promise Kept PTSD Ride. What we're doing is we're helping a Vietnam vet fulfill a foxhole promise he made to a buddy that didn't come home from Vietnam to go coast to coast in a covered wagon. We started on April 12th at Cimarron, New Mexico. We're ending up here in Flagstaff, Arizona.
Nice. Why don't you tell people what the story is behind the whole situation? What started this thing, and give them a little backstory on it.
Alrighty. In 1967, Jesse Morton and Ray Cropper left a Pennsylvania horse farm and went to Vietnam. During the Tet Offensive of '68, they were taking heavy fire and made a foxhole promise to go coast to coast in a covered wagon. Both these gentlemen are African-American guys, and they wanted to do the trip to honor the Buffalo Soldiers, the Civil War African-American cavalrymen. Unfortunately, Ray didn't make it home from Vietnam upright. So 29 years ago, Jesse Morton left St. Louis, Missouri in a covered wagon pulled by a team of Belgian draft horses, was on the trail for 100 days straight, and made it to the wall in D.C., the Vietnam Memorial, paid his respects to his buddies he lost, and left there in the wagon and made it to Ray's graveside at Beverly National Cemetery in New Jersey. So he made the East Coast. When I met Jesse when I was home from Operation Desert Storm, I was pretty tore up, and he got me the help I needed. So he and I are fairly close. So I asked him, why haven't you fulfilled your promise to Ray? And he said, well, I'm 78 years old. We told him that's no excuse. What's the real reason? He said the money. So a bunch of friends all helped fundraise, and we bought a wagon and a team of draft mules back 3 years ago, and we left St. Louis, Missouri. We did 433 miles with Donnie Blaylock, Brian Moore, Jesse Morton, and myself, and made 433 miles the first year. Since then, the Agent Orange complications for Jesse's gotten to where he can't travel anymore. So 2 years ago, Rusty Fritz, Tony Skidmore, George, Brian Moore, and myself left Belleville, Kansas, and headed west to Colorado Springs, and that was our destination. This year, we have some guys that couldn't go and a lot more that could. So we've got Rusty and Randy Fritz, Russ Oliver, Dave Hockett, Tony Skidmore, and McDaniel Marietta and myself. And we left Cimarron, New Mexico, April 12th. Had a lot of adventures between there and here, a lot of snow and traveling. In Farmington, New Mexico, we helped a young Marine get into the VA system, get the help he needed. Just outside the south gate of the Grand Canyon, we're camping, and we helped a young couple that had car problems get that squared away, and came down here to Flagstaff. They got in a hotel and getting their car fixed, and this is where we're ending up.
Nice.
Last night we were at the VFW post, and they hosted a meet and greet, and we got some nice donations. So if you're around the Flagstaff VFW, make sure you let them know you saw the broadcast and thank them. And we're doing Cinco de Mayo there tonight.
Nice. That's awesome. So I think I hosted Rusty and Mick on the channel, and one of the questions that I did receive quite a bit of is what is it? What are some of the problems you run into when you're trying to pull a covered wagon cross country with some mules and you got these horses? I can imagine that it can't be very easy. And even with all our modern technology, a lot of people are like, I mean, it's got to be kind of a hardship. So why don't you talk a little about some of the shit you guys run into other than like snow and stuff?
Well, this year was mainly snow and COVID.
Right.
We left Fruitland, where you're at, and we
check
had
him
to
out, just doxing me right on my own channel.
Sorry.
Just kidding.
And we went through the, watch out, Rusty. Rusty the dog, not Rusty the Wrangler.
Same thing.
Yeah. Rusty dog smells better. The COVID was the main thing. There were highways we couldn't travel because the towns dried up in between. So with y'all's help, we went up into Utah and around Arizona. COVID. I wish people would realize what it is, and it's not all the hype, in my opinion, all the hype everybody's putting it out to be.
Right.
We went through through the nations, Navajo Nation, and they had the whole place locked down from 8 o'clock in the evening till 6 a.m.
Yeah.
Gas stations were only credit card use. It's
caused quite a problem this year, I would assume.
Yes, it has. The one plus was in the Navajo Nation, the KOA, they hosted us for a couple nights, and they were very nice. Rolled out the red carpet, didn't charge us. Water, electric, showers. Showers are a big thing when you're out on the road.
Right.
And then we got into the Grand Canyon. Went through the Grand Canyon National Park. It was beautiful. And camped outside the Grand Canyon for 3 nights, and then we came here.
Nice. Let's real quick. I'm sure you've run across some pretty good people that have helped you guys out, like the KOA did, not charging you and putting you up. Mm-hmm. Is there any particular people, maybe of this year, on your trek so far, you'd like to give them a quick shout out and just, if anyone's in the area, definitely help them out?
Gary Kinnicky from Philmont Scout Reservation, they put us up and they were phenomenal. Gave us actual rooms to stay in, fed us. I mean, just wonderful. Right. Then we went up to Eagle's Nest if you're ever up in Eagle's Nest, make sure you stop by the Golden Eagle RV Park. Say hi to Nathan and Lisa. They were phenomenal. They did a spaghetti dinner fundraiser for us and auction. We left there with a little over $2,000 raised for our trip. Gary Bowden, Gary and Lee are the rangers and superintendent down at the Cimarron Canyon State Park there. Mm-hmm. The outreach in Taos, which was it? I can't remember the name of it. But the Veterans Outreach, the Not Forgotten Outreach, the guys are in back helping. Not Forgotten Outreach hosted us, and they were great. Then we got into Chama. The people at the Elkhorn Lodge hosted us, and they were great. People have just been wonderful all the way out here. After Not Forgotten, we went to can't remember the name of the town. It all runs together. We went to Chama. That was the Elkhorn Lodge. Then we went to the KOA, and now we're up here. We went to stateside, the forestry place to camp, which is beautiful. If you get a chance to do primitive camping outside the Grand Canyon, all the property is wonderful.
Nice.
And then the VFW post here in Flagstaff, and the people here at the Fort Tuthill campground.
Nice. Okay, awesome. We're going to switch gears a little bit. You have a program where you train service dogs for veterans. That's also one of the things that Mick does. Is he's a professional dog trainer. Why don't you talk a little bit about that and that process?
All right. Our organization's called Dogs That Help. We provide service dogs for free to disabled veterans and first responders. Okay. We're based right now out of the Tom Rose Dog School in High Ridge, Missouri. And we have trainers, STL dog training, multi-sport canine out of Missouri. We have Tonto Basin Canine Academy. Mick just yelled at me. Tonto Basin Canine Academy out of Tonto Basin, Arizona. We have, in the last 5 years, we've placed 43 dogs with disabled vets and first responders, which is unheard of, getting that many. I'd like to give information on Two Love Equine Assistance Programs also. That's Rusty Fritz's outfit out of Lathrop, Missouri, and they do horse therapy for disabled vets and troubled children. It is, I cannot see his email.
That's all right. We'll throw it in the description below for people. They can catch it later. So you guys are going to finish out this year down there in Flagstaff area,
yes.
And then next year you will actually finish the Promise. Is that correct?
Yes. The Promise is 29 years in the making. 29 years ago, Jesse went to the East Coast. Next year, we finish up his Promise.
Okay.
It's
kind of an emotional situation, I would assume.
Very much so. We put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into it.
Yeah. Is it somewhat bittersweet getting close to the end there?
It is. We've had a whole lot of planning and traveling, meeting so many. I have not met a negative person on this trip. It renewed my faith in humans.
Right.
And we'll leave here out of Flagstaff next year, I believe, and we still have to map out a route to the coast.
Right.
Now, the guys want to go north to south after that. I told them
when you guys were here at my place, Rusty had mentioned that he wanted to do that, and I told him you can start in Alaska and go, all the way to like Chile, and he said no to that. But
yeah, but before we do that, I've got to take my wife on a vacation. I promised her once this is done, anywhere in the world she wants to go, we get to go.
Probably a good idea. You're going to need a vaccine passport, it sounds like, if she wants to go to any first world nation. So convince her India's the spot to go. Right on.
I've been in third world nations. We don't need to go to them.
Right. So I want to talk a little bit about the dog training operation that you've got, and the service animal operation. This is not something that I think a lot of people have the misconception that when the animal comes to the person, that it's just perfectly obedient. It does exactly what it's supposed to do. That is not that's not how that situation works. Could you talk a little bit about the process from when you get the animal to when it goes to its handler or its owner to the process afterwards?
First off, all of our dogs are donated.
Okay.
We don't spend money on purchasing dogs.
Mm-hmm.
We put a lot of money into training, vet care, training aids. Once we get the application, we make sure that the dog is paired with the proper veteran for the help they need.
Mm-hmm.
It's usually a year to year and a half process. Now, what people don't understand is the dog's trained. It comes to me. It's going to start alerting on me today. No.
Right.
The dog gets trained. We bring the veteran in to work with the dog. Within like the last couple months, they come in once or twice a week to work with the dog for an hour each time. They have weekend visits where the dog can go home with them to bond with them.
Mm-hmm.
But what people don't understand is the dogs have to bond with you.
Right.
That process can take anywhere from 3 weeks to 3 months.
Okay.
The dog has to know your routine. You have to know the dog's routine and spend as much time with that animal as physically possible. Like with my dog, Tala, you met Tala.
Yes.
I got her, my trainer for Miranda Manichevsky for a multi-sport canine trained her for me personal, which is really awesome. And I've had her for about 3 to 4 months, and she and I are still getting to know each other. She's doing really good alerting on me, alerting on the other guys. But we're starting to get it. It's not a fast slam bam thank you ma'am process.
Right.
There's the veteran has to commit to walking the dog, taking out to go potty. Only the veteran feeding it, not the spouse feeding it, but then the dog bonds with the spouse.
Right.
The veteran knows, we make sure they know that this is your dog. You have to spend the time with it.
Mm-hmm.
And that way you guys bond. You got to meet my old service dog, Nita, that I just retired.
Yes.
And that's what happened to her is during COVID, my wife started working at home and my health got worse. So my wife was spending more time with the dog, and the dog turned around and bonded with my wife, Connie. So now I got a new dog.
Right. One of the things that I want to touch on right quick is sometimes the veteran and the dog it doesn't work, and that might be outside effects or they just don't bond. I know that my older brother Tony had a different dog last year than his dog Rusty that he has now, and that was not an effective match. What is the likelihood of that happening?
Out of the 43 dogs, I've only had 2.
Okay, so it's pretty abnormal for them not to match up.
Yeah. Plus, out of the 43 dogs, I think we had about 25, 26 other ones that didn't make it through the program. Not every dog can be a service dog.
Right.
Some are aggressive, some are fearful, and some are just knotheads. They're great for are great for family pets, but not the hard-paced job that they have.
Right.
And that's something else is our dogs, when they go through training, all they know, that's why we use dogs that are 8 weeks old, 8 to 12 weeks old. All they know is service work while they're going through the training. We tell the trainers, they're not to do fetch or play with them. You can love on them, but don't let them bond to you. They have to bond with the veteran.
Right.
In your brother's case, he had a German Shepherd named Chase that didn't work out with one of his kids. So we placed that dog it has a wonderful home with a family in Utah, a disabled veteran. That dog goes paddleboarding with them. It's the only dog in the house. Now Rusty, the dog, not the Wrangler, is working out fantastic with them. He's on the trip with us. Yeah. And so is my girl Tala, is our 2 service dogs on the trip. And we have 2 stock dogs, Santi and Maya, that work the horses.
Right. So let's talk about something that I think most people probably don't understand about Veterans Affairs. You guys are not funded by the VA. You're funded privately. And I think most people see these service dogs and they assume, oh, well, that's nice. The VA is paying for this operation. They're not. Is that correct?
Correct. The VA does not provide service dogs at all.
Okay.
You go to outside organizations. Now, these dogs cost between $15,000 and $25,000 for the dog having it trained. That's why we do fundraisers. Like Dogs That Help is all on donations and fundraising.
Right.
We don't pay our trainers. I'm the CEO. Not a penny goes to a human. All the money that comes in is for care and upkeep of the dogs.
Okay, so everyone is essentially volunteering their effort, their time, and everything.
Most definitely.
Okay. I actually think that the VA should be paying for some of this, but that's me.
So do we.
Yeah, I would imagine. So you've placed 43 dogs. You've only had 2, and I don't want to say defective, because as you said with Chase, you were able to place them with another family, or with another veteran, and that dog worked fine with the other veteran.
Oh yeah.
So sometimes it's not, it wouldn't be correct to say they're defective, because they're not. It just wasn't a good match sometimes.
Correct.
Okay.
In both cases, we recycled the dogs, placed them with other veterans, and they're doing great.
Okay, awesome. I wanted to ask you. I actually wanted to ask you when you guys were here, and I spaced it. Is there particular breeds that are more suited to this type of service life?
Yeah.
Or is this just a training thing? Okay.
It's a dog thing. We don't use Rottweilers, Pit Bulls, Dobermans, or Chows. Not because they're bad dogs. It's because they're not allowed on military bases. But
really?
Yeah.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, they're not allowed on military
because they're
bases.
considered aggressive.
Yes. One of the veterans from an organization I used to be with placed a pit bull mix with a veteran. They went to an Air Force base. The gate guard, I guess it's not funny, the gate guard got overzealous, wouldn't let him on because it was a pit bull.
Mm-hmm.
They got in a confrontation. The gate guard got knocked cold, and they gave the veteran a choice to either go to the VA for a 2-week stay at VA Hilton for anger management or go to jail. He went to management.
Shocking.
Yeah. So we don't use those breeds.
Okay.
I'm never going to put a veteran in that position.
Right. I understand. I think it's especially important to understand that these guys have, post-traumatic stress disorder is not anything to laugh about.
No.
And that's, I recently, and I am going to bring this up because this person irritated the shit out of me. Recently saw a skit on CNN, and I'm going to call it a skit because the guy thought he was funny. It was Jim Acosta, who is a waste of energy and breath and oxygen, said that he had post-Trump drain or whatever, PTSD, but he was using it like Trump instead of traumatic, And I was like, that shit's not funny. You're a piece of shit.
No. Yes.
Like you have no idea. Like I felt like what we ought to do is go drop his stupid ass in a conflict zone and let him get some real shit. You know what I mean? Let him get some real experience other than just a president being mean to him.
Yeah.
That said, I do have a few more questions, but before we go there, we are going to play a short video that I took when these guys were here. So if y'all just hang in there for just a minute, we're going to play this thing for you guys, and then we'll have a few more questions for Luke here. All right, we are back. I just wanted to show that. That's their rig they've got set up there. Got their bright red wagon and their mules and their horses. That was Rusty and Randy there on the horses there. They stay up in front of that wagon, make sure that those mules don't get all rowdy and do their own business. So
that's the first time I saw that.
Oh.
And I heard the guys talking, and when I was having my issues,
yeah,
I have PTSD, 100% disabled vet with PTSD. And apparently that day I was having some really rough time, and I was inside laying down.
Yeah.
And I heard him mention my service dog Tala, where she is.
Yeah. Yeah, you guys were very impressive to me. One of the things that was said to me was that that Valerie had never seen a group of guys so connected to each other and so protective of each other. So I think that's very interesting. I know that in the service you're going to get a bit of that anyway. It's just built in, you got to get each other's backs. Has this trip, is that kind of the same arc for you guys? You're out there on the road together and you got to get each other's back?
Most definitely. Excuse me.
No worries, man. No worries.
We're all disabled vets, all PTSD. It's a camaraderie.
Mm-hmm.
Family, you can have siblings.
Right.
Military, you have brothers.
Right.
And to see a group, we have a Marine, a Navy, a sailor, an airman, and two of us from the Army, mm-hmm. 2 soldiers, and how we all mesh, I have no clue. If you look at all of us, we're all alpha males.
Right. Yeah, but you have Mick there to pick on, so it works out.
Yeah, we got Mick. He's kind of like a little sister.
Yeah.
Where is
he? Got the hair and everything.
Wasted. He's not here.
Nice.
But no, it's the camaraderie that we missed while we were in service. Mm-hmm. We all bonded.
Right.
It's fantastic. Just like any brothers, you have your squabbles, but you make up, and the love is always there for each other.
Right. That makes sense to me. I got that. So let's see. I would imagine that you're probably number one thing that you run into, and this is completely an assumption. I would assume that fundraising is both the worst to try to do and probably the most difficult, especially with this COVID government response that's happened that has crippled people's pocketbooks. Would that be a fair assessment?
Oh, you hit the nail on the head. First off, raising the money before we come. Mm-hmm. You have the people who are like, well, we'll wait till the last minute, so you don't know what your budget's going to be for the trip, whether it's going to be out of pocket or fundraising.
Well, and being disabled, you guys don't have that kind of money out of pocket.
No, all of us are on military pensions, and
which is not a lot.
It's damn near nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
We all married well.
Yeah. Well, I can say Tony did for sure. So did you. I met Connie. She's a great person.
And I'm not sure if I ever told you, the only thing stronger than a combat veteran? Their
wife.
Combat veteran's wife.
Yeah. Or spouse. We're going to say spouse. My apologies,
spouse.
You too. So I would see fundraising as always a big issue, but I would imagine that this year it has been just horrifyingly difficult.
Just horrible.
Yeah. So anyone, you see that link there and it's in the description, click it. Go and give them a few dollars. $1 helps way more than you think it would.
The best donation we've ever got was a fundraiser at Cabela's out of St. Louis. A little young boy came up with a baby food jar full of change.
Nice.
He heard everything we were about with the dogs and the veterans.
Yeah.
He went. whispered to his mom, came over and started dropping his pennies and dimes and nickels into our donation box.
That's
And
awesome.
to this date, that's the greatest donation. That was everything that little boy ever had. And he gave it to us.
Yeah. That's really cool. One of the things that I've noticed from when I met you for the first time last year up in Eagle's Nest was that and that was right in the jump of the whole COVID nonsense from the government, and I'm going to blame it on the government. Okay, was that the people there did what they could, but financially they couldn't. So it was they gave you a space to hang out and stuff, and they they try to help you guys out that way. For everyone out there that's like, well, everyone in America sucks or whatever, you're wrong. First and foremost, you're not accurate in that assessment. You are accurate when the government sucks. That you're accurate in that.
Yeah.
What are your? Do you have a landing point next year, or is it just the coast of California?
Rusty wants to ride Rooster in the ocean. I can guarantee it's not going to be like that old movie with Bo Derek in the ocean.
No. Rusty's probably going to get arrested if he rides Rooster in the ocean because this is a different world. Yeah, there you go. I'm sure you can find something. So you guys will you'll be finishing up in a couple days? You're going to hang out a couple days there in Flagstaff or
tomorrow?
Oh, so you're done tomorrow. You're going to pack up and head home, huh? So
yes, sir.
You don't ride. You don't drive the wagon home. You load it and you just haul it, right?
Yeah, it's my wagon.
Yeah.
Back home. At the Boy Scout camp, my wife and I are wagon guides and trail guides, and I do back home. But we've got enough guys here, and my main job is logistics.
Right.
And with my health being bad, with passing out, this year no wagon time for me.
Yeah. I did notice that you weren't getting the wagon time that I'm assuming you're kind of used to.
Yeah.
And just to be fair, Luke's way too old to be on a horse anymore. Anyway.
Rusty's my age. I'm way too fat.
Nice. So you have and I didn't get it. I will get it in the description after the fact. But what's your Facebook page? I know you guys. It's the easiest way to follow you guys because you're all a bunch of boomers and you don't have a YouTube channel.
It's Veterans Promise Kept PTSD Ride.
Okay.
Now there's two of them.
Right.
The one with the wagon is the right one. The one with just the red background.
Well, I will actually link in the description to the right one, so you guys aren't going to the wrong one from the video. All right. Well, this has been awesome. Is there anything else you want to add there, or
yes.
Anywhere people, just whatever you want to add there?
First, I want to thank you for hosting us and everything you do.
That was my pleasure.
The other thing, I want to let the veterans know, the young guys coming home, the only weakness is not seeking help. The only weakness is taking it out on your kids and wives. Mm-hmm. There is help out there. If you can't find it, go on our Facebook page, contact me, and I'll find it for you.
Okay.
Go to the VA. Don't listen to the BS of all the horror stories. Contact your local DAV, American Legion, or VFW. Join them. You'll get your camaraderie back you had in service with other soldiers. And there's help. There's programs in each one of those organizations that will help you. So if you're trying to be strong and not get help, you're the weakest link.
Right.
Get the help you need. Be the dad and the husband or wife, spouse. Be the spouse.
Be the spouse.
Be the spouse that you need to be.
Right.
And that's about it.
Right on, man. Luke, this has been awesome. I'm going to blast this out on all my stuff, rip the audio, throw it on the podcast. Really appreciate you coming on. We're gonna, I think, try to do this once a month so you can update people on what the plan is for next year. Because you're going to be out west again, obviously, and you're going to get into some pretty dense population out there.
Yeah.
In California. So
for the final leg of this trip, just starting out, to get this trip started, it cost. I added up everything we needed, everything it took is $52,000 just to start it.
Yikes!
Obviously, we have the equipment now, but just to start next year, we have to raise at least $10,000.
Yeah. So we're gonna be working on that, trying to get these guys made sure they're whole. It'd be nice if we can all come together and support some guys. You don't have to support a war to support a veteran.
Exactly. I'll tell you. In
fact, if you want to support a veteran, tell your local leaders to stop making them. Would be a real good way to do that.
Yeah. None of us support the war. We support the soldiers.
Right. I agree with that. Luke, we're going to leave it there. Ladies and gentlemen, we will be back with Luke once a month, maybe more. I don't know. And we need to get these guys help. So I will link all of your stuff in all of the channels, and we'll start putting it out there on Twitter. You guys should start one of those. Peace, homies.